hard. And tomorrow you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll share with you my ideas on what I did and what I plan on doing in this search for my son. And it's not easy to say, but I'll never give up. As long as I'm on this earth and I can speak, and hopefully somebody will recognize this face, and that's all it will take. It's just that one phone call. And that's what I'm hoping for.
And I think
as a parent, you feel sort of guilty inside on, you know, parents are to look after their loved ones, their children. Parents are always looking over their children. I was the last one to speak to my son that night. Obviously, I felt bad because I was working an overtime shift, and you know, he asked me if I was coming into North Bay to pick him up, and I said, yeah, for sure. You know, and I said, where are you? Be safe and whatever. And it was just a father-son talk. You know, I knew where he was. You know, we spoke that night, and the next morning it was my daughter's birthday. And Sarah says, you know, we've got to have Luke at our birthday party. So we went out and we searched for him and didn't know exactly where he was. But I told Sarah, I said, it's going to be fine. I said, teenagers are like that, you know. They'll go out late at night and, you know, they sleep most of the day. And he'll text us later on today. A couple of days passed on, and Luke's mother phoned me and said that, you know, have you heard from Luke? And I said, no. So we contacted the police, and from there on we've been searching for him. It's almost 14 months now. It seems like forever.
Too many questions, and unfortunately, all too frequently, not enough answers. As I mentioned, the police investigate. We do everything in our power to help bring these to resolution and get answers, bring some measure of peace and closure to the families. And unfortunately, though, sometimes those answers aren't forthcoming, and families can wait for years to find answers and outcomes. And that's why events such as tonight and tomorrow are so very important. So we don't forget those people who are out there missing. They're always at the forefront. They're always on our minds, and there's always the hope that we'll be able to be reunited with them. In Halton alone, we have 7 outstanding cases of missing adults dating back to 1982. And although these cases remain open, they're not referred to as cold cases because we still periodically get tips or leads, and we do actively investigate those. We have a detective that's assigned to these older cases, and when the tips are in, they're actively engaged in following up on them.
For those who don't know me, some of you might know me, to give my brother's story, or the Reader's Digest condensed version. Him and 3 of his friends thought it would be a brilliant idea to break into an organized crime group's operation, and one of the individuals did drop the trailer park bag. Even though this happens in Alberta, it can happen in any province, any state, any country, anywhere throughout the world. I've gotten pretty ignorant remarks from some people. I've gotten some wonderful support from other people. But the key message that I've always shared with people is, regardless of how long it's been, whether it's 1 minute, 1 year, 6 months, 20 years, never give up hope, never stop fighting, and never stop pushing the envelope.
the problem of missing adults in Canada is a much larger issue than most people realize, and that's simply because missing adults don't get the same attention that missing children do. When you stop to think that if your child is 22 years old, they are an adult by legal definition, and yet if he or she disappears, there are very few resources that are available to help you both in the search and to cope with the extremely traumatic experience of dealing with life while someone is missing. I find that what families often cite is not knowing how to cope with the unknown, because they find themselves in a very particular position where they're living their lives in limbo. They desperately want to know where their loved one is, and yet, because the person is an adult, there are certain differences in the law, if you will. Unless there's a clear indication of foul play or foul play suspected, police may not be acting immediately. What they need is help to publicize their loved one's case and to increase awareness and get as many people looking as they can, because ultimately the more eyes you have looking for someone, the greater the likelihood is that they will be found. I believe it's the first workshop. Definitely, well, I say definitely, but as far as I know, it is the first workshop that is focused on bringing families with missing adults together in a safe environment so that they can share their experiences, they can tell their stories, they can learn from one another how they've coped, and hopefully coming away from tomorrow's workshop, the families will feel a little bit better prepared to explore different things that they may not have thought of on their own. They will for sure know that they're not alone. There are many families who are dealing with this, and the only person who can truly understand what it's like to have a missing loved one is another person with a missing loved one.
I was lost. I was numb. I felt like I was alone in the world. Didn't know who to turn to. Didn't know who to speak to. I felt helpless. What could I do? Where could I search? The world is so big. Where do you turn to? Which corner do you turn to? I had to focus. I had to get my mental state back. Sometimes you feel like you're losing it. You actually feel like you're going crazy. You're hearing voices. You're kind of feeling helpless. But you refocus pretty quick. Because this is your son you're talking about here. This is my blood. And this is my determination on what I'm going to do to find my son. I'm going to focus. I'm going to stay strong. And I'm going to step ahead and look forward and do anything I can to find him. Whether it's travel to Oakville or travel to Japan, I'll go around the world for him if I have to. And I stated that in his Facebook page, a direct message to him. Focused many times on his Facebook, thinking that he might be out there. Wherever you are, money's not an issue. You know, I'll help you. And in my case, hope is not limited. Luke is still considered a missing person. There was forensics done at the home that he was in, and nothing became of it. There's nothing to say this case is criminal. That's where I keep my hope. Luke is just considered a missing person, and that hope's always. I survived with the powers of my family. Family is a big part of keeping the faith and the hope. Without family, we probably wouldn't be here ourselves today. Family is a big support, and family is a backbone to your search in your loved ones.